Hi, how are you? How are things? So, TLDR with what the big talk on furry Twitter is with regards to MFF, also known as Midwest Fur Fest, also known as the third biggest furry convention in the world right now. The reason why people are talking about it now is because with regards to the MFF room lottery, which if you know, that's the whole system that they have for giving out hotel rooms or opening hotel room slots for those that want to get one for the con, whether it's for the main hotel, the other adjacent extended hotels around the con space. This time last year, I think they already had the room lottery system all figured out. And I think they already had everyone applied at that point. They were working on like the results, giving out, final answers for if you were rejected or accepted for whatever room you were looking for the room lottery. This year, I remember seeing it on Twitter a good few weeks ago, and this is going into mid to late September, where people were asking like, hey, has anyone heard anything about when the MFF room lottery is happening this year? So it being like mid to late September, it was give or take 70-ish days till the con started, which trying to plan out hotel rooms for 70 days before a con is kind of scary, especially knowing all the factors of like traveling, of booking flights, of getting time off approved. Because I think for a lot of cases, whether it's for flying overseas to like, to go to MFF or, getting time approved off, you usually need to give like 60 days ahead of time. With the case of MFF, and I don't know if this is a repeat case from previous years, but at least with this year, they announced that the room lottery system was open or was going to open earlier this last weekend, and it opened today, September 30th. Get like 4 people in a room, choose your priorities for like hotels that you want, apply, and then hope for the best. And you get your answers back whenever they get them back, which I don't know how long it takes for them to do that. I think it took like 3 to 2 weeks last year. I remember I got my answer very, very quick. I got, main hotel room, got that all figured out in like October, early October. So I had ample time to figure out flights and figure out, costs and finances and everything so I could do the con. This year, you're given, give or take, less than a week to get in and apply for the hotel room lottery. It goes from September 30th to October 5th. Less than a week to get a group together, to apply for it, to put your name in there, to try and get some chance at getting a hotel room that isn't out the ass expensive, because there's some hotels outside of the block that charge out the ass for like rooms somewhere between like $900 to $1,000 sometimes per night even. Depending on how late you're going into the con, they'll have rooms like available for that. If you don't want to do any of that, you go into the room lottery. The issue for it this year is that it's so close to the date of the con. So the hotel room lottery is going for like 5 days. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I highly doubt it's going to happen before that 60-day grace period beforehand, which is usually when people plan their time off to do cons. So imagine like, and this is the unfortunate scenario that I think a lot of people are encountering with MFF, with scrambling to get rooms last second. Not only do you have 5 days to figure it all out to get a group of like 4-ish people together and apply for a room, the issue on top of that is like, say you do plan ahead of time, you book flights, you get your time off approved to go to this con, and you get denied for a room. Now you either have to scramble to try and find some spot in someone else's room who did get approved, who has a set room, or you got to figure out all your time off and booked flights and all that, which usually I think the case is once the time off is approved, it's all good, but that might not be for like every company, every employer, everything and all that. But it is just, you hear it now with me yapping. There are a lot of moving parts and a lot of things you got to do really quickly to get to some of these cons, to get all these cons planned and all that. And with MFF, with the case this year, a lot of people are upset because it took so long to get, the lottery started, and there's only a limited amount of time to apply for, which I thought even last year, like, wasn't there more than like a week's time that people could apply? I could have sworn it was longer than just like 5 or 6 days from September 30th to October 5th. That seems like a short amount of time compared to previous years where I've seen the lottery go on for. But maybe I could be wrong with that. This is all just a presumption from what I see and see people talking about on Twitter. One thing to just keep in mind that I'll say with regards to all this, I don't know the intricacies of what goes on behind the scenes of MFF, and a lot of people don't. That goes for pretty much most cons in general, whenever there's a ton of staff involved, whenever there's a ton of volunteers, when there's a lot of hotels and a lot of contracts involved with running an event, especially, a business, to say the least. Because you got to keep in mind, a furry convention, as much as it's, most of them, I think most, if not all, fur cons are non-profit. It's still a business that you got to run at the end of the day so that you don't go bankrupt and lose money and people have a bad time. I'm assuming there was a lot of shit they had to figure out very last second in order for everything to be clear with putting the lottery out. So just keep in mind, with regards to any frustrations you might have with how, a con is run or how they do things, try to give a little bit of a benefit of the doubt to the people trying to run it. And that's pretty much the gist of the whole MFF con drama talk. I'm sure we'll have some situation next year with regards to MFF or FWA or one of these major cons where something will go wrong and everyone will be talking about it for like the next few days to weeks or so. I can guarantee there are people like complaining, talking about the whole MFF room lottery situation being so last second as it is this year, right this very moment on Twitter. And I'm sure it's going to keep going for the next few days until the lottery is done. Guess what? When the lottery announcements are announced, everyone will be talking about that for like the next few days because everyone's going to be looking for a room and it's going to be a whole process. But just the one thing to keep in mind with all of it, be respectful. That's all. Just be respectful of the con staff, be respectful of the con. They're trying to do their best. I'm going to beat you up lovingly so you know to be nice to con staff. And yeah, that's really it.